Angela, she's going to introduce the main theme for the night, which is human-centered design or design-type thinking, and how you use that in a relationship to space. In particular, she was involved with the Google refit, the 2009 refit of the Google offices, and so an incredibly interesting person. Have I built you up enough? Please give her a round of applause, Angela Ferguson.
Thanks, Chris. Well, look, to start off, I've actually got a confession to make. I wasn't that thrilled back in the late 90s when we first started talking about sustainable workplaces. I thought that the hippie movement had been resurrected and that we'd be going back to the 70s where everything was tie-dyed, we'd be putting macrame owls on the walls, owls on the walls. I thought that a sustainable workplace meant no colour, no fun, nothing sleek, nothing sexy. At the time, sustainability was really an emerging practice, and to me, I thought it meant that clients would really lose their sense of identity, they'd have to change their logo colours to brown and green, and that the corporate world would just end up being a sea of sameness. However, fast track to the 21st century, and really at Futurespace what we do today, everything that we do, sustainability is embedded in, both at a project level and at a practice level. So it's no longer an add-on to a project. The other part of sustainability for us too is that whether a client is after a Green Star rating or not, and the benefits of Green Star ratings is a whole other topic for discussion, we naturally embed sustainable initiatives throughout all of our projects. So in terms of business pillars, I've got 3 case studies to present today, and for each of these case studies I'll talk about how these businesses have addressed one aspect of these business pillars, so as it relates to sustainability. So the Google case study really has an emphasis on people and how sustainability relates to their brand, particularly their Australian brand. The What If project has an emphasis on place as it relates to their business and its choice to reuse an existing heritage building to reinforce the message of their brand. And then the Jones Lang LaSalle case study is predominantly about how technology has enabled that organisation to reduce their environmental footprint. So underpinning our design approach to sustainability, there's these 3 design pillars that we use as a business. Creativity, which is really related to not just the look and feel of something, but how we approach a project and how we use design thinking in everything that we do. Collaboration, how we can more efficiently achieve a better result by working with others. And intelligence, so how what we do really adds value to that end result. So if we go to the Google project, so we finished this project in 2009, and a few years ago Google advertised, you need to click one more, Google advertised 100 new jobs for their Sydney headquarters. The response that they had to this was overwhelming. They had 20,000 people applying for these 100 jobs. And really, their culture is pretty well known. I'm sure all of you have seen pictures of the Google workplace on the internet around the world. And really, their workplace is a key part of their strategy to attract and retain the best possible team that they can find. So this Australian headquarters that we designed for them was one of their first sustainable fit-outs around the world, and the real challenge was about how do you marry a very high-tech company that, you know, their logo is very primary with some sustainability initiatives. And really the first thing we did was that front stage area where you walk into that workplace, there's a living green wall. The Google logo is in a rusted metal, and so as soon as you walk in, you can smell that this is a very different Google. You can smell the flowers in the air, you can smell the quality of the air, which is fresh and a lot more natural, and you immediately know that this is Google, but this is a very Australian version of Google. The other thing that was key for these guys was that there was an education process that we took them through, and I think Karen Garrett's here tonight. She had a big role in that. So the Googlers were very, very concerned about losing their identity, particularly when you consider that the brand is so well known. Their version of sustainability was very similar to my initial thoughts about what sustainability meant. So as part of the project, we reused around 90% of their furniture, and then one of the primary goals for the project was not to compromise any of the base buildings, so make sure that these sustainability initiatives through that intervention of the fit out didn't affect anything that had already been done. So it's still very much about, how we know that brand, but going through the process, we're actually targeted a 6-star Green Star rating, so it's a very, very sustainable workplace. The next project is the What If group. So What If is all about travel and online travel. So living and breathing their brand is a very important part of their culture, and the staff are all really passionate about travel. So for them, the main sustainability initiative in this project was about the adaptive reuse of an existing building. They're not a typical business. They didn't want to be in a corporate office tower, and the heritage nature of that building is what really makes it unique. It's also using that particular type of building too, is also really part of the brand's sense of discovery and adventure. So I think the main thing in this project was really about that insertion of, the new into the old, not compromising the integrity of the old, and then also, as you can see, like the brand is just, a huge part of that sense of space and sense of place within the environment. So the next project is Jones Lang LaSalle, and it'd be pretty fair to say that technology dominates most aspects of our lives today. For global property giant Jones Lang LaSalle, what technology means for them is that they are able to adapt very new, very radical ways of agile working that substantially reduces their environmental footprint. So their directive from head office was that you're getting 3,000 square metres for the next 10 years of your lease. You have to make that work for you as a business. So what we've done is we've introduced this new agile way of working that means that you're not heating or cooling space or lighting space that isn't being used. And so that building physically actually works much harder. You can see throughout too that the aesthetic is very much about, a very professional business. It's about, based on a boutique hotel. It's a 6-star Green Star fit-out. It's one of 12 fit-outs in Australia to achieve that 6-star Green Star rating. So it's still a highly professional environment, but still very sustainable. And I'll just conclude with this. So what I've shown tonight, I've got 3 very different workplaces. Sustainability for each of those projects has been addressed in very different ways. The hippies haven't taken over. The corporate brand of each organisation really does shine through, and I think really what this sums up for me is that corporate and big business often gets a bad rap, but these organisations are really setting benchmarks for how businesses can behave in a much more sustainable way. These organisations are really setting benchmarks for how businesses can behave in a much more sustainable way.